Meantime, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem set to testify before House lawmakers today on worldwide threats to our homeland. It all comes as the Trump administration is expecting to begin asking foreign tourists for their 5-year social media history before they can enter the U.S.
Okay.
We just want people to come over here and safe. We want safety, we want security, we want to make sure we're not letting the wrong people come into our country. We're getting rid of a lot of bad ones from jails, from mental institutions, drug dealers.
Okay. Yeah. Based off of how that sounds, I mean, it sounds like the visa process is going to get incredibly long. I'm not saying that the United States of America, the visa is that crazy, right? Already, but I can imagine how the visa process will be a lot longer and most likely more costly.
Joining me now is former acting DHS Secretary and Executive Vice President
and we don't want people to not come.
Chad Wolf. Chad, we know our country is always a target, but how bad is the threat right now? What do you expect Kristi Noem to testify to today?
Okay.
Well, look, I think there's a number of threats facing the homeland, and Secretary Noem's going to address much of them today. I think she's going to continuously talk about the number of threats that the U.S. is facing because of the disastrous 4 years under President Biden and the amount of individuals that came across that border, many of which were gotaways, many of which, we still don't know who they are. She's likely going to talk about Operation Welcome Allies and the threats from not vetting individuals closely enough. And unfortunately, we saw what happened to those 2 National Guardsmen in the District of Columbia recently. I think she'll also talk about nation-state threats. She'll talk about China. She'll talk about Iran and North Korea, particularly from a cybersecurity perspective. And then, of course, the Western Hemisphere. There's a lot going on here, and obviously with Venezuela, the cartels that have been designated as foreign terrorist organizations by the president. All of this is impacting the homeland in a real way. And then we can't forget about Antifa. We can't forget about the domestic terrorism here in the United States that she's likely going to highlight as well. And then undoubtedly, she will touch on the increased threat to law enforcement officers, particularly ICE law enforcement officers that we've seen recently as well.
It's all concerning. It all needs to be addressed. I want to address right now this social media proposal, which I find fascinating. How crucial is that social media data for those that work to protect the homeland? What are they going to be able to do with that to prevent a potential threat/attack?
Yeah, well, it's important to remember, the folks that come into the country on various types of visas, whether it's a student visa, a visitor visa, or a business visa, these visas are not guaranteed rights to these individuals. This is something that the United States bestows on you, and so we need to make sure that we understand who they are. And so looking at that social media, if they're here and they don't believe in the United States, and we believe they're going to take action against the United States based off of some of what they are saying and doing on social media, well, then that's all part of the deliberative process of how you vet individuals. And so this idea that, particularly from countries of concern, particularly from countries that we don't have great diplomatic relations with, trying to understand the vetting process behind that is very, very difficult. So the social media aspect is just another layer there to allow officers at DHS to make some informed decisions.
Okay, yeah, but that just means that now that you're saying it publicly, it means that people are going to be kind of on guard about this, right? So expect to see that there are people coming out randomly with multiple social media accounts dedicated to themselves. One where they basically, it's basically, public facing, and another one that's going to be super private.
To allow officers at DHS to make some informed decisions.
And Chad, I would also add, even from countries that we do have amazing diplomatic relations with, like the UK.
Sure.
I mean, the UK is involved in this because their vetting process and their immigration situation is definitely questionable. You get in there, you shouldn't just be able to come over here willy-nilly. So I think this is a great move by DHS. Also, DHS is reporting more than 2.5 million illegal immigrants have left the U.S. over the past year, including, get this, 1.9 million who self-deported since President Trump took office. Seems
and got
like
paid
the
to do
message
it.
is getting through, Chad.
Well, I think so. And the administration's been very clear about this with Tom Homan and Secretary Noem and others out there, making sure that the message is getting out there, which is if you come into the country illegally, you will be removed. That is a very different mantra than obviously under the 4 years of President Biden and even under previous administrations. The idea was if you got here, however you got here, then odds are that you were going to stay in the United States for a good period of time. And of course, that was the goal. Well, now the odds are that you will actually be removed. You'll be detained, you'll be being put in detention, and you'll be removed. And I think that message is getting out, whether it's ICE law enforcement officers removing individuals, physically removing folks, or folks saying, look, I don't want to go through that, so I'm going to self-deport, which is what they should be doing. A lot of these folks are here illegally, they've overstayed visas, and they should be self-deporting.
Not a lot of self-deporting during the previous 4 years of the Biden administration.
Yeah.
Chad Wolf, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Okay, we're here. It's interesting. Do I think that there are going to be more people most likely self-deporting, specifically with the White House basically dictating that they're going to add a $5,000 apprehension fee on top of them? Basically, if we catch you, if I have to catch you, if I have to basically send ICE agents out to basically put hands on you, then I'm going to charge you $5,000, or you can just leave and I'll give you $1,000, right? Like if you go specifically through the CBP One app, right, then we're going to give you $1,000 if you just kind of get out, right? As in leave, as in you have a deportation order already, you know you're here illegally, so just leave. If that's the case, then I think that's not a super bad idea, guys, right? At least, right? You have something here. What else is actually spoken about here? Hold on. Self-deportations. So we have 1.9 million self-deportations so far, but yet we have like 2.5 million illegal immigrants left within the United States of America. Jeez. And how do we even know that number? Because understand this here, guys, we had 2 million gotaways. So I think that it's going to be interesting. Because where are those people at? I don't know. Most likely, those are the people that have already been deported, that are not even trying to see like any border patrol, anything, right? At all. They're not trying to see anyone, so they're just running through the border, right? Those people, we have no idea who they are. Just suspect generally that they are people who have already been deported. That's kind of my vibe here. Hey, bro, listen. When it comes down to Fox specifically. Fox, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, all of these are basically propaganda machines. All of them are. But I think when it comes down to it, I will 100% push back against emotional responses almost always, right? And that's just how my neurology works for the most part, right? When I start seeing anything, right? Anything emotionally oriented, I just don't care. Like by default. Like if the responses are always, how do you feel? I don't care how you feel. Tell me what's true. That's kind of my vibes here. That's kind of my vibes, bro, truthfully. But yeah, it's not just, Fox, it's CNN, it's MSNBC, it's, NBC, CNBC, CBC, like all these news networks that are basically dedicated to creating, I don't know, bro, clicks, headlines. Like, what are you expecting from these things here? But again, I will 100% follow anything that sounds logical more so. But again, I always push back on things, kind of regardless of what I'm watching anyway, right? Specifically, if it doesn't make sense in my brain, right? That's just kind of how I work when it comes to these things. But I am definitely glad that there have been some people who decided to leave. That's it. That's where I'm at. I'm glad that they left. That's it. If you had a deportation order and you decided not to leave, then you're going to get caught and charged. That's how that works here, guys. Guys, do you want to watch movies with me? I never actually thought to promote it over here, guys. But if you guys do want to watch it, guys, we have hundreds of movies. And I mean hundreds of movies that we've reacted to. You guys can come watch them with me if you want to, along with many TV shows. Currently we're working on the show Dexter, along with Vikings, and we have a lot of series that are already completed. But if you guys do want to watch it with me, the link is in the description. Everything's available at the second tier. But of course, if that's not your thing, guys, don't worry, right? Listen, like and subscribe.